Most people think old pennies in bad condition are worthless. But what if I told you some damaged wheat and Lincoln pennies are worth millions of dollars? In this video, we'll reveal the most valuable state wheat pennies that look ordinary but could change your life forever. First up, the 1938 wheat penny with no mint mark, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, is one of the most emotionally powerful, historically rich, and symbolically important coins ever produced in the United States. And even when it survives today in bad condition, meaning heavily worn, scratched, darkened, corroded, bent, stained, pitted, or environmentally damaged, it still carries an enormous and fascinating story that can easily fill hours of discussion. Because this single small copper coin represents the absolute end of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, a design that began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and ran uninterrupted for 30 years, witnessing some of the most dramatic events in American and world history, including World War I, the Roaring Twenties, the Great Depression, massive industrial expansion, social change, and the looming approach of World War II. The obverse of the 1938 wheat penny shows the right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose work marked a revolutionary moment in U.S. coinage by replacing symbolic figures with an actual historical person. And by 1938, Lincoln's face had become deeply woven into everyday American life, appearing millions of times each day in pockets, purses, registers, lunch counters, factories, farms, and homes. While the reverse sign features the iconic 2 wheat ears, carefully engraved to frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a phrase that carried profound meaning during a time when national unity was fragile and economic hardship was still widespread. The no mint mark indicates that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which in 1938 struck an enormous quantity, over 156 million coins, making it a common issue in terms of production. But common does not mean insignificant, because pennies in the 1930s were used constantly in daily transactions, meaning most coins experienced extreme circulation, which explains why so many examples today exist only in poor or bad condition, with flattened details, worn lettering, smooth wheat stalks, weak rims, and dark brown to nearly black coloration caused by decades of oxidation from the coin's 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc composition. Coins that passed through countless hands, pockets, tills, and cash drawers often picked up scratches, dents, grime, grease, and environmental damage, and those that were lost, buried, or stored improperly developed corrosion, pitting, or rough surfaces, all of which collectors today classify as bad condition. Yet every mark on such a coin is physical evidence of real human use and survival. In 1938, America was still struggling to fully recover from the Great Depression. Unemployment remained high, wages were low, and for many families every single cent mattered, meaning that this penny may have bought bread, candy, a newspaper, a postage stamp, or contributed to a child's savings jar, and the people who used this very coin may have been farmers, factory workers, shopkeepers, immigrants, housewives, children, or men preparing for military service as global tensions rose, giving the coin a deeply personal and emotional connection to ordinary lives rather than elite collectors. From a strictly numismatic value perspective, a 1938 wheat penny with no mint mark in bad condition is generally worth only a small amount, often just a few cents above face value or close to its copper content. And it is not considered rare or valuable in the financial sense, because collectors usually seek examples in higher grades with sharp details, minimal wear, and original surfaces. Yet this low market value does not diminish the coin's historical, educational, and storytelling value, which is immense, especially for beginners, students, historians, and content creators who want to explore the deeper meaning behind coins rather than just price tags. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1938 wheat penny is that it represents the final farewell to the wheat ears design, a symbol of American agriculture, self-reliance, and strength that disappeared from circulating coinage forever after this year, making even the most worn example a symbolic last survivor of a beloved era. Collectors and enthusiasts also carefully examine 1938 pennies for possible mint errors, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, weak strikes, clipped planchets, or doubled details, though true valuable errors are rare and require professional authentication. It is extremely important to understand that cleaning a 1938 wheat penny is never recommended, even if the coin is already in poor condition, because cleaning removes original surfaces, alters the metal, and permanently reduces any remaining collectible appeal. And experienced numismatists always prefer coins exactly as time left them, with natural wear and aging intact. Overall, the 1938 no mint mark wheat penny in bad condition should not be viewed as a worthless object, but as a small copper time capsule, a silent witness to pre-World War II America, economic hardship, national resilience, and everyday survival, making it endlessly interesting for long-form discussion, deep educational content, historical documentaries, YouTube storytelling, and anyone who truly appreciates coins as living pieces of history rather than mere metal, because even in its most worn and damaged state, this humble penny carries nearly a century of human experience within its scarred and darkened surface. The Lincoln Penny 2004 with D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint, is a modern-era U.S. 1-cent coin that may look ordinary and even unimportant at first glance, especially when found today in bad condition, meaning heavily circulated, scratched, dirty, darkened, stained, corroded, bent, or otherwise damaged. But when examined closely and understood in its full historical, economic, and numismatic context, it becomes a surprisingly interesting coin with a long story connected to modern American life, mass production, changing metal compositions, and the everyday realities of currency in the 21st century. The obverse of the 2004 D Lincoln cent features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 and still used nearly a century later, making it one of the longest-running portrait designs in world coinage history. While the reverse side in 2004 still carried the Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparro, showing the iconic Washington, D.C. monument with Lincoln's statue faintly visible inside, a detail that many people never notice even after years of handling the coin. The D mint mark below the date indicates production at the Denver Mint, which in 2004 produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, making this issue extremely common, especially compared to early wheat pennies. But common does not mean meaningless, because these coins were made during a time when the U.S. economy was rapidly changing, digital payments were beginning to rise, and the penny itself was already being questioned for its usefulness, meaning the 2004 D cent represents an era when physical coins were still heavily used, but slowly losing their importance in daily transactions. By 2004, Lincoln cents were no longer made of solid copper like older wheat pennies, but instead consisted of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, a composition change introduced in 1982 to reduce costs. And this zinc core is especially important when discussing bad condition coins, because once the copper plating is damaged through scratches, wear, or corrosion, the zinc underneath reacts quickly with moisture and air, causing bubbling, white corrosion, pitting, swelling, flaking, and dark or chalky stains, which is why many 2004 D pennies look far worse than older copper coins after only a few years of circulation. A badly worn or damaged 2004 D Lincoln penny may show weak or flat details on Lincoln's hair and coat, faded lettering, loss of copper color, exposed gray zinc, edge damage, or surface roughness, all of which significantly reduce its collectible appeal. From a market value perspective, a 2004 D Lincoln cent in bad condition is generally worth face value only, 1 cent, and sometimes not even accepted by collectors due to zinc deterioration, because modern Lincoln cents are collected mainly in high grades, uncirculated condition, or in special era varieties, and damaged examples are extremely abundant. However, the true interest of a 2004 D penny lies not in standard value, but in mint errors and varieties, which collectors actively search for, including off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, die cracks, die chips, and plating errors such as missing or blistered copper plating. And while most damaged coins are simply post-mint damage, genuine mint errors, if authenticated, can be worth many times face value, even on modern coins. Historically, The year 2004 itself places this penny in a very specific American moment, post 9/11, during ongoing global conflict, rising inflation concerns, and rapid technological change, when pennies still circulated through vending machines, convenience stores, school cafeterias, and cash registers across the country, meaning that even a badly worn example passed through countless hands in daily routines, from children buying candy to workers receiving change, making it a small but real witness to everyday life in early 2000s America. Collectors often overlook modern pennies, but long-term numismatists understand that future interest often grows around well-documented eras, design changes, and error coins, making even common dates like the 2004 D valuable as educational pieces that show how modern coinage differs from older, more durable copper issues. It is also very important to note that cleaning a 2004 D Lincoln penny is strongly discouraged, even in bad condition, because cleaning strips remaining copper plating, accelerates zinc corrosion, and permanently destroys any chance of identifying legitimate mint errors, which must be evaluated in original, untouched condition. Overall, the Lincoln Penny 2004 D in bad condition should not be viewed as a rare treasure or a high-value coin, but rather as a modern historical artifact, representing mass production, cost-cutting metal changes, and the slow decline of the penny's role in daily commerce, making it a very interesting subject for long educational discussions, YouTube content, beginner coin collecting lessons, and comparisons between classic wheat pennies and modern zinc-based Lincoln cents. Because even though it may be worth only 1 cent in money, it carries a surprisingly rich story about how currency, materials, and everyday life have evolved in the United States. Next up